and welcome back, everyone. Oh god, I have to. Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to our second broadcast of the night. Welcome back to the Esports World Cup 2024 Europe Open Qualifier. I'm of course your live VIP, and with me I'm joined by these amazing players. Exclamation mark B in the chat to have a look at the bracket. The bracket is massive, it's huge, and there are so many amazing matches that are currently ongoing. We had to pick one. And it was a tough choice. It was a tough choice to make, but we are here. We are here in the round of 64 and spawning in the top left-hand corner of Oceanborn. We have our Swedish Zerg player, the yellow Zerg, representing Team Brody. It is Fjant. So I quickly try to update. There we go. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have the Praetor, the red Praetor player representing himself on Clan Arrows. It is Praetor from Kazakhstan. Here we go. Sorry, I was just quickly updating the text logs or the text file for the round. Let's go. Round of 64. And if you weren't here earlier today, we were covering the Korean qualifier. We covered the Korean Open Qualifier. It was a long one. It was a brutal series. The final qualifying match went all the way to the ace match, went all the way to game 5. I do recommend checking out the VOD, as you know, there were smiles, there were tears, there was you know, heartbreak, and of course unfortunately only 3 players could make it through. Likewise, here in this qualifier we have plenty of players available, 64 or just under 64 I believe, and only 3 spots are available. Oh boy. Only enough room for 3 of these players to make it into the closed qualifier. Do wish them all the best of luck. It all starts here in the first round. All does begin here, and this will kind of lend and lead towards another player that's lying in wait. We'll get into that momentarily, I'm sure. For now, it is just going to be a standard opener. It's going to be a gate expand and decide, of course, standard opener here out of Praetor. Likewise, Fjant going for a hatch gas pool. Nothing too crazy for the time being. Nothing too wild yet, as we embrace this Zerg versus Protoss. Again, if you want to check out some of the other matches, I believe Wardy is casting, there's Steadfast, I think Zombie Grub as well. I don't know if any of the other casters that were covering the previous tournaments are here. I'm sure they are. You know, for the Korean qualifiers, we also had Rotterdam and Beelmolf, and we had Pig as well. I'm sure some of them, if not all of them, are also here. So again, do check out plenty of the other English streams that are ongoing. And as always, here on the CranKy Ducklings, we're going to be covering every single region. We finished up with Korea earlier. Now we're in Europe. Tomorrow we're going to be covering Asia and then Americas thereafter. So all the regions will be here on the CranKy Ducklings. We'll be bringing you as much content, as much StarCraft as we can. As always, Papi, as always. Papi, Meanwhile, across the map, Stargate opener. Okay, standard opener here at a Praetor, going with the Stargate. We have casted Praetor from time to time, but again, I'm curious how he does fare against someone of the caliber of Fjant. I do want to give Fjant the edge coming into this series, but I'm also excited to see what Praetor has to offer coming into our first round. Now, with the Stargate opener, it should be an Oracle first to get across the map. My apologies, we have a Void Ray opener instead. Okay, Praetor, you have my attention. With a Void Ray opener, the goal is to shut down the Overlord, snipe the Overlords, hunt them down, and deny vision, deny scouting from the Zerg player, the Zerg opponent. And the question becomes, what do we do after the Void Ray? We have options. We can go Glaives, we can go for a 3-way all-in, we can go for Sky Toss, we can go into a standard third base into Blink and +1. We have options. We do have a lot of options here for Praetor, so I'm curious what we embrace after the Void Ray spawns in. For now, Fjant did make a surge of links, is moving out across the map, and will be able to collapse into one of these adepts. Oh, does shade away just in time. Third base is being taken. Void Ray has made it, and now the Void Ray is getting in position to protect the third. Lings taking over this round, and they get an adept. Not bad. One adept does fall, but just the adept, as the Void Ray is going to be pinned back for now. Third base will maintain itself though. We're going to be able to get it up and running. No cancel, no delays on the third, but a kill on the adept, and that will force an extra warp in back at home. Behind this, we have our first Oracle, second Oracle on the way as well. And it looks like we're just, entering a more standard game. As I say that, here we go. We have 2 extra gateways and a Twilight Council. What does this look like? What does this scream? Say it all together. Glaive adepts. Let's go. 4-gate Glaives is the follow-up. Very aggressive here at a Praetor. And if Fjant cuts too many corners. If he's too greedy, he can be caught off guard, and we can just wreak havoc with the devs. Meanwhile, the first Oracle gets across the map, takes a lot of damage, takes a lot of hits. Only getting one drone. One drone for the Oracle so far. Meanwhile, we have a safety Roach one, thankfully on the way. It's already done here for Fjant, so we have the tools to defend. We have Lings, we have access to Roaches, we have access to Queens. We have the tools to defend as long as we don't drone up too much. Meanwhile, this is not Glaives, this is going to be Blink. Okay, I'm curious. This could be the beginning of a 3-base all-in. The reason why I say this is because there's no Forge. There's no Forge, there's no +1, there's no upgrades available for Praetor, so I'm leaning towards a Gateway Explosion, but we'll see. The other thing, because there's no Forge, there's no +1, there's no longevity with this army, and yep, there we go. 2 more gates on the way. That is a 6-gate setup. I'm waiting for more. I'm expecting 2 more gateways here, and that will confirm the all-in. Okay, we're going for a later Forge timing. Interesting. The upgrade is going to be quite delayed, but what does this mean? This means that Praetor can be more active sooner. Can be much more active, much more aggressive sooner rather than later. There we go. Robo's on the way. This tells us that we're probably going to be teching. Yep, we're taking extra gases. So this is coming across as just a really, I guess, safe opener is the best way of putting it. If Praetor was up against something like a 3-base all-in, then he would have Blink in time to defend and to keep up with the Roach production of his opponents. Fjant back at home is taking up and not just working with Roaches, but working with a Spire. Let's go. We have a Spire hidden behind the main base. So far unscattered so far, but here come the Oracles, and they are primed to scout the tech. Big moves here by Praetor as he is going to be diving in and looking at our vision. Oh, we do scout, we do confirm, we get eyes on the Spire, we see everything. And do we force a cancel or do we commit to the Spire tech? Now, Fjant has to make a choice. At the same time, Void Ray, ooh, getting quite a bit of damage done on the hatchery. Oh, down to half HP. Aye, aye, aye. And that is a second Stargate. We're taking some really weird turns here. Yeah, this is interesting. So we went up to 6 gates. If you remember, 6-gate Blink with now +1 on the horizon. Usually because, like, Blink is done. We've rushed into Blink and we're not making use of it. That's why I said before that this feels like a very safe opener meant to hard counter like a 3-base all-in. Unfortunately, this means that sure, we rush into Blink, but we're not really making use of it. We're not really being too active. We're not being up in the face of our opponent with our Blink Stalkers. Meanwhile, behind this, upon seeing the Mutas, I guess that as a response, Phoenix's second Stargate, and we're just going to be producing Phoenixes. We have the ability to just double down into Phoenix production to shut down those Mutas. Likewise, second Forge for +1 armor. Arm moving out across the map. Drones already get picked off already. Oh, getting 3, getting 4. 4 workers will fall. Pretty good damage so far. The Stalker aggression that I would like to have seen earlier is finally here, and we get caught out by the Lings. We force the recall. We have to back off. Mutas are revealed, but we have Phoenixes. But now we do destroy the Mutas at the same time. Fjant going for the 4th. And Praetor is out of position. We're not where we need to be. Workers are going down, and we can get the base. It's going to be 13, 14 probe kills, and the Nexus is going to fall. Praetor rotating over, trying to keep up with the Stalkers, but last says no saving the 4th. Not anymore. It goes down. At the same time, Mutas are trying to harass, and we haven't gotten too much done with the Mutas. It did force a big reaction. More importantly, I think the Mutas, they distracted Praetor, right? Like, the Stalkers and the Phoenixes were busy at the natural, and that's why Fjant was able to get a kill on a base. And now Fjant, he's in the driver's seat. He's in control of this game. We're looking to collapse on top of this 3rd base. Fjant behind this on 4-base economy, getting a 5th. There's only 1 shield battery. Very little stack defense. The overcharge is going to be popped. Ooh, the Biles connect. We break through the first line of Stalkers. And we may be able to hold the line a little bit longer here, but the overcharge is about to run out. And the Roach Ravager, we're breaking through. Are breaking through. More Lings, more Roaches flooding across the map. And Praetor, he's in trouble. He's hurting quite a bit here. Vials are going to be connecting, going for the Artosis pylon. We depower everything at the 3rd base. And Fjant will knock down the 3rd. And he will shut it down. I mean, sure, we have Phoenixes, and sure, we cleaned up all the Mutas, but what about the ground army? That's what was lacking. And not just that, but of course, the initial being caught out of position. 3rd base is going to fall. And Fjant, he's snowballing out of control here. Praetor just doesn't have enough. Desperately warping in Stalker after Stalker. We're trying to build up, trying to catch up. But GG gets called, and Fjant takes game number 1. GG. Oh my god. GG, well played. a wild game here, very back and forth, and there was a lot of teching up as well. It was an interesting game. When it comes to Praetor and his build was an interesting one. Again, winding it back, it did feel like a very, I guess, safe build, and unfortunately, we have to be. It feels like we have to be a little bit more fluid with it, just because, yo, if we're going to be working with fast blink, we have to be active on the map. We have to be denying creep. We have to be threatening bases. Likewise, supporting that army with our oracles to make sure we can avoid that surround, the collapse that we saw earlier when the stalkers did move out. That's the purpose, the dual purpose of those oracles is to support those stalkers. Likewise, we did commit quite hard to try to counteract the mutas. Usually we can, if we have a Stargate, we can start Phoenix production. We get up to like 3 Phoenixes and we can stay there. And if your opponent commits the muta, then it justifies second Stargate and mass Phoenix, right? Like then you can justify that investment. Alas, it was only 8 mutas, and then we just hard switched into mass Ling Roach Ravager, and yeah, Praetor was caught with his pants down a little bit there. Maybe overreacting a little bit to the initial Spire play, which did pull him apart, and now we're getting into our next game. We're getting into game number 2 here, and spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Alkyone, we have our Swedish Zerg player, the yellow Zerg, representing Team Roddy, leading the series 1-0. It is Fjant. And spawning in the top right-hand corner, we have the teal Protoss from the land of Kazakhstan, representing Clan Arrows. It is a Praetor. Here we go. And we'll see kind of how we open up here. I mean, we're loading into Alkyone. What I will say, kind of winding it back a little bit, I mean, there was so much going on and so much to go over. Opening up safely on a map like Oceanborn makes sense just because Oceanborn is so prone to 3-base all-ins, so I don't fault Praetor for that. But here on a map like Alkyone, we can afford to cut some more corners and not be as safe, just because this map is known for longer macro games. There are so many more bases to be taken. They're so safe and secure as well. I feel like Praetor should be a little bit more comfortable on a map as large as Alkyone, and we should be able to get into a more comfortable back and forth between our players. I want to believe. Do want to believe. Now Fjant is going hatch gas pull, standard opener out of our yellow Zerg player. Meanwhile, Praetor going for the gate expand into Cybercore. We're just settling on down, easing into our builds. And we'll see where this takes us. I'm curious if we go for another Void Ray opener. Now, what I would love to see is another Stargate into Void Ray, and then we deviate from there. Make it look like the same build, and then try to catch your opponent off guard. Right, as opposed to seeing another fast blink opener, we could see Glaives, we could see Skytoss, we could see a standard game, so a Forge and Twilight Council, without a big investment into gateways early on. Like, there are other ways to approach this, but I like the idea of making it look like the same build 2 games in a row, and then you just like hard switch and try to catch your opponent off guard, keep them guessing, that sort of thing. Classic was always really good at that, especially last year, like October, November, December of 2023. Classic was very fond of Void Ray openers, and he went for Void Ray openers every single game. But every game, he'd do something different. Every game, he would just deviate and, again, just make it so much more difficult for the Zerg player to read. Nowadays, you know, it's kind of fallen off going for Void Rays every single game, but it did work back then, and we'll see what we embrace this time. Once again, another Stargate. Once again, the Stargate is thrown down next to the gas geyser, further back in the main instead of closer to the edge. And we'll see if it's for another Void Ray, and it is. So far, so good. So I'm liking this start here from Praetor, and I'm curious as to what we go for this time. I'm not going to be as fond for the same build. I already did mention that Alkyone is kind of prone for longer games, and I don't think it's as necessary or as necessary to open up safely and rush into blink anywhere as quickly and delay upgrades. You can cut more corners. As the Void Ray has arrived, we're going to be knocking down that Overlord. Overlord is going to fall. Third base being thrown down. So far, so good. Lings, they will not delay the expansion. They attempt to. They did dip in, but will be forced out. And we see back at home Fjant just droning up and producing more queens, trying to keep up with the movement of the would-be oracles as well. This first oracle is on the way. And we should soon be seeing our follow-up tech of choice. Should soon be on the horizon here, second oracle, and there it is. Once again, a fast Twilight Council. Now, I said earlier, if you remember in game 1, I was like, oh, it's going to be Glaives. Turned out to be Blink instead. And so far, this does look like the same build. Once again, fast Twilight Council, 2 extra gateways. We have a 4-gate setup. I would like to see Glaives this time, but we'll see if we embrace fast Blink. It could literally just be the same build 2 games in a row. There is that possibility, which I wouldn't be too fond of, but the possibility is there. Meanwhile, you have the Roach Warren on the way. Safety Roach Warren here is finishing up at around the 5-minute mark. There are some players that do enjoy skipping the Roach Warren, and you don't need it against Stargate openers, but because it was a Void Ray first, you want to be safe. And there it is! There's Glaives. So I appreciate this. I think I would have... I was going to say I think I would have liked Glaives in game 1, but because it's Oceanborn, I guess it makes sense. So yeah, here we are. We're embracing Glaives here in game number 2 instead. So once again, the opener looked the same, but the follow-up is quite different. Now, thankfully for Fjant, didn't skip the Roach Warren. Roach Warren is already done. Fjant is more or less somewhat prepared for this. I mean, he still hasn't made any roaches. He's being quite greedy. He's joining up to 3-way saturation, and hopefully he does invest into a safety amount of roaches. Oracles have arrived. They do get 2 worker kills. Meanwhile, Fjant has controlled the Zonaga, so he will have a bit of a heads up. Oh, that's a kill! Uh-oh. That's a kill, not a cancel on the hatchery. Fjant slipping up a little bit here. And I'm concerned because Fjant is going to be reinvesting, and that's going to be resources he does not have to defend and to make roaches. Here come the Adepts. Adepts are moving out across the map. Zonaga no longer in control of Fjant. He does spot the Adepts just barely.
Has been depleted.
He does spot them. We have 9 roaches in production. And how much damage can Praetor get done? Let's go. The Adepts, they have arrived. They're shading on forward. So far, we have walled off, but the Adepts, they get in. They bust into the natural base. Roaches, they have arrived just in time. But can we minimize losses? 1 queen goes down. Drones are getting targeted somewhat. There we go. A couple of workers are going down. Adepts, they shade back. They get into the main. Likewise, Adepts in towards the 3rd. And drones are falling. Drones are falling left and right. Damage is being done. Oracles are coming in. Likewise, we have more Adepts reinforcing. And so far, so good. It's been 12, 13, almost 14 drone kills. As a reminder, we also killed the 4th base earlier, and we're still not done. We still have Adepts. Still up and running. Oracles. Oof, 1 Oracle does fall. We get 16 worker kills so far. And we're not going to get any more, at least not here at the natural. We have maybe 1 more shade in us. Towards the 3rd. Oh! No, we don't get any more. We don't get any more workers. Barely. There we go. 1 more drone goes down. 17. And with that, Praetor now has the economic lead. This has been good enough. And now here comes the follow-up, +1 and Blink. Let's go. We've dealt enough damage. We've crippled the economy of Fjant. And now Praetor can get ready for his follow-up for those Blink Stalkers. Stalkers already moving out. How many Oracles do we have? 1. That's a little bit dangerous. This 1 Oracle is designed to keep these Stalkers safe. As more Stalkers are reinforcing. Blink not quite finished. Without Blink, pushing onto creep is a risky thing to do. Fjant will spot the Stalkers, and he can trap them. Uh-oh. There's no way out. And Praetor, he is going to be pounced upon. Will be able to kite away. But bleeds out a lot of these Stalkers. Oh, the Void Ray. The Void Ray gets wild. Fjant's pulling back. Takes down the pylon. These Stalkers are out of position. And what do we have at home to defend? No shield batteries, no cannon. Praetor, he's not ready for this. He's woefully underprepared and was not making any mortals defensively either. Just pure Stalker. Blink is now done. The army across the map. We're going to kill the hatchery, but the hatchery doesn't matter. We're all in. We are all in nonetheless. Ay, ay, ay. Yeah, Praetor with the supply across the map, it's just not doing enough. Not doing anything. Kills the base. Meanwhile, we knock down every single worker at the 3rd. And we could keep pushing. Third base has fallen. Rotate over towards the natural. Natural base under threat. Wilds will not quite get the pylon. But all we have to do is contain. From here, Fjant can drone. He can drone, he can expand. Fjant is not doing that though. Well, he's doubling down. He's going to be doubling down. Cybercore under fire. And we are going to get it. The Cybercore, the gateways. And we're just keeping the Lings in the back line, waiting for the opportune moment. And here we go. Now we're breaking through, and there's no shield batteries. No. And no shield battery set up. No cannons either. There's just limited room here to micro back. And Fjant, it looks like he has done it. He's breaking through the front lines. I mean, he already did earlier at the third, but now the natural is compromised. GG, well played. Good luck in the next round. And Fjant will take the series at 2-0. GG. Let's go. GG, well played. Congratulations. Fjant will take this series. We'll take the series 2-0 and advance on. My condolences to Praetor. Again, he did have some different variations of build here, and he did kill a lot of workers. He was quite successful with his adept aggression. The problem was the follow-up. It was unfortunate that he got caught on the map without blink. If you remember his stalkers, we were halfway through producing upgrading blink, and we were caught out in the center of the map. We were cornered and we bled out too many stalkers. We were forced into like a pseudo base trade. Likewise, there was no immortal production, there were no shield batteries, there were no cannons. We were not ready at the third base at all for a push. You saw that the cannons and shield batteries were thrown down as the push was coming up the ramp, because again, we just were not ready. We were not anticipating any kind of big counter attack there. So yeah, Praetor, he was a little bit in the dark as to what Fjant was up to. With that, GG, well played. Fjant will advance on, and we can take this moment to have a look at the brackets. I believe there's an opponent ready and waiting for us. Exclamation mark B in the chat